Welcome to Just a Bit Outside, presented by WaFd Bank. Join a best bank at wafedbank.com. I'm Aaron Levine. Our Michelle Lutka will hopefully be back next week, but a very busy week with the Super Bowl now complete. And of course, all the talk about Russell Wilson. And that's where we started with our hot topics presented by WaFd Bank as our experts weigh in from the sidelines. And a really fun group today. Q13's jack of all trades and sideline reporter for the Seahawks, Cougs, and occasionally the Seawolves as well, Jessamyn McIntyre. That's a long resume, by the way. From Sports Radio 950 KJR, Jason Puckett, and definitely not least, this is pretty special, Michael Wansley, also known as Wans, one of the most talented vocalists in the area, also best known for singing the hook in the famous song Thrift Shop with Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. But Wans, I think this might be one of the first times we've spoken face-to-face since you were gracious enough to sing at my wedding reception 6.5 years ago. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Clearly you were the good luck charm because I'm still married and we have a child now. It's a great story I actually want to get to coming up, but let's start the day with Russell Wilson because everybody's talking about him. Is what he said this week about being frustrated about getting hit too much and wanting to be more of a part of the personnel decisions, is it overblown or should we legitimately be concerned about what's going on here?
This is just something that Seahawks fans have been saying for the better part of a decade, and all of a sudden they get mad as soon as Russell echoes their concerns. I mean, it's a legit concern. He's a mobile quarterback too, and I don't know that he was necessarily throwing shade at his offensive line. I think the only thing that I took a little bit of pause with was he said something along the lines of it affecting his legacy. And Russell has a very unselfish way of speaking. So when I heard that part of it, it didn't sound like him, but I mean, he's only echoing what we've been hearing since, you know, the second Super Bowl they went to while he's been a part of this team.
Go ahead, Wands. People want to hear from you. They don't want to hear from a hack like me, Wands. They want to hear from you.
You want to hear from the guy who's like calling plays from his couch and his right.
No, that's what they want
of the time.
Yeah.
That's why we brought you on.
Yeah. Well, I haven't read today's article. I've been too consumed by the impeachment hearings, but I do have this to say for at least the last 3 seasons. The 2 things that have frustrated me the most is he drops back way too often, and 2, half the routes by the receivers are too long. If I'm on the, I don't get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to call plays, but if I know what's going to happen and I'm right most of the time, you could just imagine what goes through the head of any defensive coordinator who sees us. We haven't really had a really good offensive line since I think his second year here.
Yeah, Aaron, I mean, I think his concerns, obviously, I think are legitimate in terms of, his offensive line and it being an issue and all that. I just think it's rule number 1 when you play in the NFL and you're a quarterback. You never, ever, ever air out your offensive line publicly. You just never do it. You never hear anyone do it. It's the cardinal sin of a quarterback in this league to do that. And it's maybe what everyone's thinking, and it's right. I mean, you can say that behind the scenes, but you don't do it. You don't do it in the public, and that will cost him dearly in the locker room. Now he can amend it and he can get better at it, but it will cost him, and it will take some time, I think, to get it back. I mean, you just don't do it. Yeah, and it was shocking for him to do it.
How it was, I agree with that. How much of this offensive line do you think will return, and how much of that do you think will permeate the rest of the locker room?
You got Dwayne Brown coming back for at least 1 more year, and you have Damian Lewis, who is a rookie this year. So you got at least 2 out of the 5, and probably maybe 3 out of the 5 if you get your right tackle back also. And to Puckett's point, this is now the 2nd year that things have sort of been played out in public. Last year, he said he wanted more superstars on offense and defense. And believe it or not, when you say something like that, it has the effect of potentially rubbing some of the guys on the defensive side. You have superstars on defense. You have Bobby Wagner already. You have KJ Wright. It might rub them the wrong way. And now they're saying they have to improve on the offensive line. I feel like this all runs contrary to Pete Carroll's number 1 rule, and that's to protect the team. And it just feels like there is a growing disconnect between Wilson and Carroll. And the fact that Wilson's talking about it out in the open kind of has me concerned. Sort of what Jason said there a second ago. And, Wilson counts, $39 million against the salary cap next year. The Seahawks are going to pay that, whether it's going to count against them, whether he's in Seattle or not in Seattle. So he is going to be in Seattle next season, whether you like it or not.
How much do you think that the new OC is going to change this?
I don't know. I mean, you've never seen the guy call plays. I mean, that's the greatest, mystery about the whole thing. I mean, I think you're excited that he comes from, that system of offense there with the Rams, and I think you get excited about it. But just because he's under Sean McVay does not make him a good offensive coordinator. I have no idea what he's going to be like. I'll say this. I think it better work out here in about a year or two, because when he's done in 2023 and he's 34 years old, I mean, I could see him wanting to go play someplace else. And that's why I think this is the most critical hire I think they've ever made. Because if it doesn't work out and they've got to make another move on an offensive coordinator, now you're talking about the fourth one since Pete Carroll's taken over. And that just, I mean, at that point, then you've got to decide, well, what is it? Are we going to go with the quarterback, or are we going to go with the head coach?
I think Jeremy Bates is crying in the corner there, because Shane Waldron is the fourth already. I mean, you're talking, and then you'd be talking about the
that's right.
If you're not getting rid of him. So it's really to be seen this upcoming season. Next up, the Super Bowl. And I want to talk on the bright side, the streaker. And he's not going to get any television time, obviously, but in this day and age with social media, he's getting his 15 minutes of fame right now. And I know there have been reports that the streaker actually put a bet that there would be a streaker. It's unproven so far, but the rumor is he won more than $300,000 on that bet. What's your take on this whole thing? And I'm kind of open to your opinion of the pink body thong he was wearing also.
Well, I was surprised that any bookie would take that bet, considering it's so easy to manipulate that. And he allegedly, well, I zoomed in on that picture of this portion of it, and it is an adult site that he was repping with that.
Oh.
So that's what I can assume why it looked the way it did. So whether he made that much in a bet or for representing this company, maybe he's fudging the numbers. I thought that the weirdest thing is that he went on live radio and actually claimed the whole thing without staying hush hush. So I don't think he's a champion bettor in Vegas by any means.
Somebody else is paying his legal bills.
Well, I just can't. I mean, listen, you're going to make it all the way to the 1 yard line. Get into the end zone. Don't slide. What are you doing? Don't slide into the 1 yard line. Get all the way in. I mean, put a shoulder into someone. I mean, yeah, I would love to know if Vegas would even pay out that bet. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, they don't take crazy prop bets like that all the time. But if it did happen and he really did make all that money, that's the greatest bet ever.
Bovada is looking into it, and they're allegedly refunding all of the people who bet against it, just considering that that's a tamperable prop bet. And they are refunding the yeses with what they placed down, but not paying out the bets as of now. But this guy's got a lot to say and not a lot to back it up.
I mean, he's got to shut up, obviously. But if he had kept his mouth shut and this was actually financially motivated, I mean, he probably would be one of the smartest streakers in history, because most of these people just are flat out idiots that want attention and they're not financially motivated at all. But Jessamyn brought it up. I mean, it also brings up a different point here. You can bet on the length of the national anthem. You can bet on what color the Gatorade bath will be. How are there not more instances where inside information gets leaked, where you see field workers who see the anthem rehearsal or are right by the Gatorade text their friends to give them that information? I'm surprised that doesn't happen more often, or at least we don't hear about that more often.
Well, the guy did it. There was a reporter in Florida that was outside the stadium at the rehearsal for the anthem, and he taped it. And he told people, it's like, it's 216, take the over.
Okay.
And so people got all mad about it. Yeah, sure. That cost Vegas probably, whatever X amount of money, because he's leaking this stuff out there that take the over. I mean, everyone knew it was going to be the over. You can't have two people and it's going to be the under. It's 2 minutes. As
an anthem singer, this is one check again. Don't ever do it with an accompaniment, because it has to be the same length. I sing it, I've sung it many times, and it's like it's never the same length twice.
Ones, if you could only have one, would you sing with Carl Lewis or Roseanne Barr for the national anthem? Just one person.
Oh, God.
They both were so good.
So good. Carl Lewis, probably.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I could play it off better.
Yeah.
Roseanne doesn't listen.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's an all-time nightmare duet between Carl Lewis and Roseanne Barr. I'm going to combine our last topic into, first off, what did you guys think about Tom Brady throwing the Lombardi trophy over water from one boat to another boat at the Bucs celebration? Fortunately, it did not go into the water. And sort of off topic, but what's the lasting impression you have from the 2020 sports seasons across all the leagues and teams? What is that lasting impression? What stands out to you?
The toss, I was just wondering who was gasping more, Bruce Arians or Roger Goodell, seeing that, like who had the cold sweat as soon as they saw it. But if you're going to, throw it between quarterback and best hands he's ever kind of worked with, in multiple different instances, I'd say Brady to Gronk was a good choice.
It's all about the completion. Whoever catches it, drops it, it's over for both of them.
Oh, can you imagine if they drop that goes in the water? I mean, who jumps in after that thing? I mean, it would have been ununbelievable. I couldn't believe
it. Right?
It wouldn't have been Brady. He would have been said, I got 6 of those already. I don't need it.
Yeah, no, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. It was crazy. I couldn't believe they did it. I mean, just to recap, like the 2020 season, I mean, it was insane. I mean, we're never going to see anything else like it again. I mean, I think you give credit to the team or the organizations and leagues that were able to get through it. I thought it took a little. The sports season's fun, and it's great to have sports, and we're all in the like sports. We work in sports, and obviously we do it because we have a passion for it. But I think there was a little bit of a luster that was taken off this year. I don't know if people were as passionate about the NFL or baseball or the NBA or college football as they normally are, and just because there's other things going on in the world, and it took a little bit off, and even for me as being a big sports fan. I didn't look forward to the games as much as I once did. And just because there's just too much other stuff going on in the world.
I think it hurt baseball the most. I think getting players to actually commit to playing, they made money more important than the sport or what they would do for the country. I didn't like that, but I have to give it up for the NBA and the WNBA because they did make it entertaining and, go Storm. Woohoo, number 4.
Yep. Yeah, and the Storm making a ton of moves this week too. Go ahead, Jess.
I was going to give the Storm probably the biggest credit, the WNBA, operating on a lower budget in a bubble at the same time. And, coming through it, being able to play in a reduced season. I believe it was 22 games for the regular season, and they were already in CBA negotiations to increase their season from 34 to 36 seasons. Then it all of a sudden got cut short. They still did it. They still participated. Weren't inhibited by COVID, and so they were able to do it, and our Storm won.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and also a shout out to the NWSL too for being the first sports professional league to get started. I believe that was in June before everybody else did later in July. And to your point, Wads, I absolutely agree with you about Major League Baseball shooting itself in its foot because they had a real opportunity last May to be the very first league to come back, and all you saw were millionaires and billionaires whining to one another, and it did not play out well when you're in the middle of a pandemic and people are losing jobs. So you're absolutely right there, and that continues, by the way, with Major League Baseball, and it will, since they haven't come up with another agreement for this season. It's something they're going to have to renegotiate next year as well. I do want to quickly give my Juan story for those interested, because I remember he had just finished a concert, I think at Key Arena. Was it December 2013?
Yeah.
And my wife and I had run into him on the sidewalk outside of Pesos in Lower Queen Anne, which, as Puckett, I'm sure, can believe, because that's where my wife and I met. And correct me if I'm wrong, Wands, but we started talking about sports. And then at the end of the conversations, I said, by the way, are you doing anything on June 28th, which was like 6 months later, and said, would you be willing to sing at our wedding? And what I will always be grateful for is about a month or two before the wedding, Wands reached out to me on social media to let me know that he was available. He had remembered that request from 4 months prior. It ended up being a huge surprise for my wife, and Juan's, my nieces and nephews still talk about it.
Nice.
Thank you so much for doing that. Do you have a new album coming out soon?
I do not have a new album coming out, but all my stuff happens on social media. So if you're on Instagram at TEEWANZ, and everything pretty much flows from there.
Awesome. Well, I encourage everybody listening today to check it out. Get it trending. He is Seattle's own. And if you've ever heard him sing the national anthem, he really is the best. Also, listen to Jason Puckett on 950 KJR Sports Radio KJR at 10 in the morning, 10 to 1 every single day. And Jessamyn, McIntyre, thanks so much for joining us as well from the sidelines.
Thank you.
Woo-hoo!
Meanwhile, the streak was officially broken last week in our trivia segment, which put us in an extra aggressive mood this week, going on the clock. We're now joined by AJ, who responded to this challenge on Twitter in a matter of seconds. So we don't have to worry about a slow reaction time with you. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. So I love the 12s flag behind you. Where are you right now, and what do you do?
Right now I'm in Anchorage, Alaska. I'm the assistant general manager at the Crown Plaza Hotel. And yeah, been up here for a few months and I love it. It's great.
I have a feeling there are a lot of Seahawks fans up in Alaska right now too, aren't there?
Oh yeah, a good amount.
It's good. At least you're not on the East Coast or something like that. You have a lot of fans that can relate to the 12 spirit. Today, by the way, you can win a $100 gift card to Daniel's Broiler, but house rules, you have to beat me outright to win. I'm a little on tilt right now because last week I was beat for the first time. So a reminder that these questions are provided by The Fish, Jeff Aaron's Fame Trivia USA. So you can check them out at Fame Trivia USA on Facebook. Each of us is going to have a minute to answer as many questions as possible. You're going to go first, and I'm going to switch headphones right now to listen to some Linkin Park. You'll be able to hear them.
Good choice.
Okay, Jessamyn McIntyre is standing by. AJ, good luck.
Thank you.
And I'm going to put you on the clock starting right now.
Sounds
What
good.
country has islands that include Java, Sumatra, and Borneo?
Pass.
Which WWE superstar was best known as the Nature Boy?
Ric Flair.
What bridge houses the road that connects Seattle and Medina across Lake Washington, known as the world's longest floating bridge?
The Tacoma Narrows.
You better know this by now. Starbucks took its name from what classic novel?
Oh gosh. I don't know. Pass.
Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates are each college dropouts from what prestigious university?
Yale.
What newspaper was founded in 1889 by Charles H. Dow and Edward Jones?
The New York Times.
What year did the Seahawks first attend a Super Bowl?
2005.
What is the Sonics mascot? Was.
Oh gosh. Pass. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's been a while. A while. Okay, I'm ready. You are officially on the clock. What country has islands that include Java, Sumatra, and Borneo?
Indonesia.
Which WWE superstar was best known as the Nature Boy?
Ric Flair.
What bridge houses the road that connects Seattle and Medina across Lake Washington, known as the world's longest floating bridge?
Why am I Montlake Bridge?
You know this by now, or you better know this by now. Starbucks took its name from what classic novel?
Moby Dick.
Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates are each college dropouts from what prestigious university?
Harvard.
What newspaper was founded in 1889 by Charles H. Dow and Edward Jones?
Wall Street Journal.
What year did the Seahawks first attend a Super Bowl?
2005.
What was the dearly departed Sonics mascot?
Squatch.
And that will exactly end right here. Thank you, Aaron.
AJ, I'm sorry I took all my frustration from last week out on you. I apologize, but I love the 12 spirit all the way up in Alaska. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and just for joining us, we also have a Q13 Fox coffee mug for you. So you can check us out streaming online since you're not in the local viewing area now, but hopefully you'll make it back to Maple Valley soon.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Again, our answers: Indonesia has the islands Java, Sumatra, and Borneo. Ric Flair was the Nature Boy. Evergreen Point Floating Bridge connects Seattle and Medina. I had no idea about that. Starbucks took its name from Moby Dick, and Zuckerberg and Gates were Harvard dropouts. Dow and Jones founded the Wall Street Journal. The Seahawks went to the Super Bowl in the 2005 season, and the Sonics mascot was Squatch. I hope you enjoyed playing at home. Now, finally tonight, we learned something this season. Super Bowl prop bets are not my thing. Actually, the whole Super Bowl was just not my thing this year. As we take a look at last week's bets, we lost our game bet, taking the Chiefs -3. But aside from both teams scoring in the first quarter, which we won, we lost all the other prop bets. Travis Kelce's first catch was more than 10 yards. The national anthem, as you heard before, was over 2 minutes long, and the coin flip was heads. So we officially end the season at 36, 26, and 1. That's going to do it for this episode of Just a Bit Outside, presented by WaFd Bank. Join a best bank. Remember to check out all our episodes at justabitoutside.fox, or you can now download all of the episodes wherever you get your podcasts, including iTunes. A huge thank you to Wands, Jason Puckett, and Jessamyn McIntyre for joining us. We'll see you next week.